There is a great law that governs all achievement, a law so simple that most overlook it, yet so powerful that all men who violate it fall short of mastery. That law is this: speak less than you know and act more than you say. Every plan you expose before its season loses a fraction of its force. Every idea you display before it is matured invites resistance from the idle and interference from the unqualified. The man who talks too soon drains the reservoir of his own power, while the man who works in silence builds momentum the world cannot measure. Your mind is your private kingdom. Within it lie the seeds of destiny. Every great builder of empires, fortunes, inventions, or philosophies understood that the most sacred work happens unseen. The world applauds the finished cathedral, but knows nothing of the silent years of drawing, chiseling, failure, and correction. The same is true of your own success. It must first be constructed in the unseen chambers of thought before it can stand in the sunlight of recognition. Most people never learn this. They confuse expression with progress, announcement with achievement. They think that by telling others of their ambitions, they somehow bring themselves closer to realization. But the opposite is true. Every time you tell the world your plan, you dissipate the magnetic energy that was meant to move it forward. Words are power, and when used carelessly, they scatter your focus into the winds of other people's minds. The applause you receive too early becomes a substitute for the satisfaction of completion. The validation you seek replaces the discipline you need. You must decide whether you wish to be impressive or effective. You cannot be both. The impressive man seeks admiration, the effective man seeks results. The impressive man tells his goals to gain approval. The effective man builds quietly until proof speaks for him. Admiration may inflate your ego, but only action will enlarge your destiny. There is a peculiar weakness that infects the undisciplined mind, the hunger for recognition before the work is done. It is born from insecurity, the belief that one's value must be confirmed by others. But greatness has never needed witnesses in its formation. The oak tree grows in solitude. The diamond forms in darkness. The inventor toils alone in the laboratory. Silence is not emptiness, it is concentration. I have observed that men fail not for lack of intelligence or opportunity, but for lack of inner control. They dissipate their energies through talk, through gossip, through endless consultation with those who cannot comprehend their vision. They exchange the power of decision for the comfort of discussion. The habit of revealing plans is a symptom of mental weakness. It is the subconscious plea for permission to act. The disciplined mind requires no permission. It knows its purpose, chooses its direction, and moves. Ask yourself, why do you feel compelled to tell others what you intend to do? Often it is because you doubt yourself. You hope their approval will strengthen your conviction, but it never does. Approval is a counterfeit confidence. It fades at the first sign of opposition. True confidence is silent, steady, and self-sustaining. It grows not from applause, but from alignment with purpose. He who tells his plans before acting exposes himself to three thieves: the thief of doubt, the thief of envy, and the thief of interference. Doubt enters when others question your idea, and you begin to absorb their uncertainty. Envy arises when small minds resent your ambition and secretly wish for your failure. Interference appears when those same people, through advice or criticism, alter your direction before you have tested your own method. Guard your vision from these thieves as a king guards his crown. The world loves disclosure because it cannot create. The empty mind feeds on the ideas of others. It lives through gossip, curiosity, and imitation. But the creative mind is selective. It shares little and listens less. It knows that greatness is born of solitude and execution, not conversation. Silence is the armor of the wise. It shields your ideas from contamination and your energy from dissipation. Every word you speak is an expenditure of life force. Spend it only when it multiplies. The man who learns restraint over speech gains mastery over mind, and the man who masters his mind controls the direction of his fate. You must develop what I call emotional detachment, the ability to observe your impulses without obeying them. The impulse to speak, to boast, to explain, to seek sympathy, these are all emotions disguised as logic. Detachment allows you to choose. It gives you the space between thought and action where reason resides. Without detachment, you are a slave to reaction. The emotionally reactive man is easy to read and easy to manipulate. His moods betray his mind. His excitement announces his intention. His frustration exposes his weakness. He becomes transparent to others and therefore predictable. And the predictable can never be powerful. Power demands mystery. Authority requires calm. The man who cannot keep his own counsel will never command the counsel of others. To master emotional detachment, begin with the simplest practice. Control your tongue. Each day presents dozens of chances to speak unnecessarily. Withhold, say nothing, let the silence do the work. You will discover that restraint multiplies influence. The fewer words you use, the greater their weight becomes. The undisciplined flood their conversations with noise. The disciplined select each word as a craftsman selects his tools. Silence breeds respect. When you speak rarely, others lean forward. When you speak often, they lean away. The quiet mind commands attention because it emanates strength. It suggests depth, self-control, and authority. You need not declare power to possess it. Power, like a magnet, operates through quiet force, not noise. There is a deeper reason behind this principle. The mind functions best when focused inwardly. Every time you explain your plans, you shift attention outward toward how others perceive you. That shift weakens the creative process. Imagination requires privacy. It is a sacred conversation between the conscious and the subconscious mind. When you allow other voices to enter, you break the concentration necessary for manifestation. The subconscious obeys conviction, not commentary. When you speak of your goals, you dilute conviction with doubt. Each opinion you invite becomes an additional variable the mind must reconcile. Decision loses sharpness, momentum slows. But when you preserve the sanctity of your thought, the subconscious receives a single, clear command and moves heaven and earth to fulfill it. There is an old proverb that says, "The hunter who announces his hunt alerts the prey." The same applies to achievement. Announce too soon, and obstacles will arise from every corner. People will test you, question you, or discourage you, not out of malice, but because they see through the eyes of limitation. If you allow their small vision to influence you, your own vision will shrink to match it. Keep your ambition private until it becomes visible through action. The world cannot deny results, but it can argue with ideas. Let them argue in ignorance while you labor in intelligence. When success appears, there will be nothing left to explain. To live by this principle requires discipline, the kind that begins within. Discipline is not punishment. It is structure applied to power. A man without discipline is like a ship without a rudder, driven by every current of emotion. Discipline aligns your thoughts, your words, and your actions toward a definite aim. It transforms chaos into order, intention into reality. You must build mental discipline as you would build muscle through resistance. Each time you resist the urge to speak, you strengthen control. Each time you act without announcing, you increase momentum. Each time you withhold reaction, you sharpen focus. What begins as effort becomes instinct. The disciplined mind does not struggle to remain calm, it simply is. And understand this. Self-control is not repression, but redirection. It does not deny emotion, it channels it. The river that floods destroys. The river that flows within its banks nourishes. Likewise, passion without discipline ruins. Passion under discipline builds empires. Emotional detachment is the dam that allows you to direct the current of energy toward creation rather than chaos. The difference between reaction and response is the difference between failure and success. Reaction is the surrender of will to emotion. Response is the application of reason to circumstance. The one who reacts is controlled by environment. The one who responds controls environment. You may not control events, but you can always control your interpretation of them, and that interpretation determines your destiny. When insulted, remain still. When doubted, continue working. When misunderstood, smile inwardly. These are not signs of weakness, but of immense strength. The mind that can hold its peace amidst provocation has reached mastery. It is no longer governed by ego, but by purpose. To the emotionally reactive man, silence feels like defeat. To the emotionally detached man, silence is strategy. The former needs to prove, the latter needs only to produce. In time, results become his argument. And so, if you wish to ascend to power, Begin with mastery over the smallest domain, your own thoughts. For thoughts precede speech, and speech precedes action. Control the origin, and the outcome must obey. When you wake each morning, command your mind before the world does. Say to yourself, I am the master of my emotions. I choose what to think, what to feel, and when to act. I will not speak of my plans until they are real. I will not let others dilute my vision. I will build in silence and let my success make the noise. Repeat it until your subconscious accepts it as fact. The average man leaks power through words, emotions, and explanations. The superior man channels all power into execution. He does not advertise his intentions, he manifests them. He understands that speech is silver, but silence purposeful. Disciplined silence is pure gold. Stop telling people your plans. Build them, shape them, live them. Let your victories speak in a language too clear for words. The applause of others will come in due time, but by then you will no longer need it. The disciplined mind is the rarest treasure on earth. It is not given, it is forged. It is hammered by resistance, refined through solitude, and sharpened by the fires of failure. Most men spend their lives chasing control over others while never once mastering themselves. Yet he who masters his own mind has already conquered the greatest empire a man can rule. All victories begin there within the invisible chamber of thought. It is a tragedy of our age that people know how to manage machines better than they know how to manage their minds. They learn how to operate vehicles, how to use technology, how to control markets, but not how to control themselves. Their moods fluctuate like stock prices. Their focus breaks like fragile glass. Their willpower evaporates at the first sign of discomfort. They live as servants to impulse, not as rulers of intention. If you wish to rise above the masses, begin where no one else begins, within. The world you experience is but a mirror reflecting your internal state. Confusion within produces confusion without. Chaos within creates chaos around you. When you master the inner order, the outer world arranges itself to match. You cannot bring harmony to your environment until harmony reigns in your thoughts. Emotional detachment is not the absence of feeling. It is the mastery of feeling. It is the ability to direct emotion instead of being directed by it. It is the art of standing in the fire without being burned. Every man must pass through this fire if he is to discover the strength that does not tremble. The weak seek escape from emotion. The strong learn to command it. When anger comes, observe it. Do not suppress it or indulge it, transform it. Turn its energy into fuel for focused action. When fear whispers, listen only long enough to hear its lesson, then silence it through movement. When doubt speaks, let your discipline reply. The mind that responds with principle, not panic, becomes unstoppable. You must learn to separate reaction from response. Reaction is the slave's instinct. Response is the master's art. The man who reacts has surrendered his mind to circumstance. The man who responds has subordinated circumstance to mind. Every second between stimulus and action is the space where destiny is decided. Use that space. It is the throne room of your will. Your will is the governor of your entire mental kingdom. It determines which thoughts enter and which are dismissed. It decides whether you dwell on the problem or the solution, the insult or the opportunity, the obstacle or the objective. The majority allow their will to sleep. They drift from one thought to another, slaves to the current of environment. But the disciplined awaken their will and take command. They choose what to believe, what to think, what to feel. That is self-mastery. The mind, when untrained, is like a wild horse, magnificent in potential but destructive in direction. It will run in circles until exhaustion overtakes it. But when tamed, guided, and trained through discipline, it can carry you across deserts of difficulty and mountains of doubt. The reins of that horse are your attention. Where your attention goes, energy flows. Where energy flows, results grow. To control attention is to control creation. Every invention, every discovery, every fortune was first an idea held steadily in the mind of one who refused distraction. The common man disperses his thoughts over 1,000 trivialities. The uncommon man concentrates them upon a single definite purpose. That focus, sustained over time, becomes magnetic. It draws circumstances, people, and opportunities into alignment with its frequency. Definiteness of purpose, then, is the first requirement of mastery. Without a clear purpose, emotion becomes the master and discipline becomes impossible. The man who knows what he wants cannot be easily disturbed. His mind is organized around direction, his emotions serve his aim. Every irritation, every temptation, every distraction is measured against his central intention and discarded if it does not serve it. Purpose gives meaning to discipline, and discipline gives strength to purpose. Together they form the foundation of achievement. The undisciplined man wakes without intention, speaks without thought, and moves without aim. His mind is a marketplace of random impressions. He reacts to the weather, the news, the opinions of others, and mistakes motion for progress. But the man of discipline wakes with command. He directs his first thought as a general directs his army. He knows that every morning is a new beginning, every thought a soldier under his authority. You cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. You cannot command respect until you command your own impulses. The leader of men is first the leader of thought. His presence calms others because his mind is calm within itself. When he speaks, his words carry weight because they rise from silence, not noise. Cultivate this silence within yourself. It is not passivity, it is power stored. In silence, your mind regenerates. In silence, the subconscious organizes your impressions and reveals insight. The noisy man never hears the whisper of wisdom because his own voice drowns it out. The calm man, detached and observant, receives understanding others miss. Emotional detachment is the parent of accurate thinking. When you detach, you can see reality without the fog of bias. The average person does not think. He feels that he is thinking. His logic is colored by emotion, his perception distorted by desire. But the disciplined thinker separates fact from interpretation. He refuses to be intoxicated by either praise or criticism. He views events as data, not drama. From that calm analysis, correct decisions arise. To practice accurate thinking, question your reactions. When anger arises, ask, what is the cause? When fear whispers, ask, is this true? When excitement surges, ask, is this wise? Emotion will try to rush you into action. Discipline will remind you to pause. In that pause lies power. The man who can delay his reaction owns himself. The man who must respond instantly to every stimulus is owned by his environment. You cannot control the world, but you can always control how you interpret it. That interpretation creates the world you live in. Consider the storm. The same storm that destroys the weak tree strengthens the oak. The difference lies in the root, not the rain. The disciplined mind has roots deep in principle. The undisciplined mind drifts with the wind of emotion. One grows stronger through adversity. The other collapses under it. Life will test your detachment. You will be provoked, misunderstood, doubted, and ignored. Good. Every challenge is a mirror showing you the limits of your control. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you expand those limits. Each time you resist the urge to explain yourself, you sharpen your composure. Soon you will no longer react to the world. The world will begin reacting to you. Remember always, he who speaks least hears most. He who listens deeply sees farther. The tongue moves faster than the mind, and so silence is the proof of thought. The wise man uses speech as a sculptor uses a chisel, sparingly, precisely, with intent. Every unnecessary word is a fragment of power lost forever. Let your words become rare and your actions abundant. Let your tone remain even when provoked. Let your plans remain hidden until manifested. The fewer explanations you give, the more authority you command. People respect the mysterious not because it is hidden, but because it is self-contained. Containment is a form of strength. You must build the habit of calm repetition. Every morning before the world intrudes, sit in silence. Breathe deeply and affirm quietly to yourself, I am not my emotions. I am their master. I am not my thoughts, I am their director. I choose my focus, and therefore I choose my destiny. Let this affirmation sink beyond intellect into belief. For the subconscious mind does not obey wishful thinking, it obeys repetition charged with conviction. Through daily discipline, this belief becomes your nature. You will begin to notice that the same events that once unsettled you now seem powerless. You will find yourself thinking with clarity where others panic. acting with precision where others hesitate. The fire that once burned you now warms you. The emotions that once controlled you now propel you. This is mastery, not escape from emotion, but dominance over it. Control your reactions and you control your energy. Control your energy and you control your results. Each moment of restraint adds fuel to your will. Each act of self-command compounds your power. Over time, the world will recognize in you something it cannot define: presence. It is the quiet confidence of a mind that no longer wastes itself in reaction. Presence is influence without effort. It is authority without arrogance. It is the aura that surrounds those who live in discipline and speak from truth. When you walk into a room with inner command, others sense it. They do not know why they respect you. They simply feel it. That is the invisible reward of self-mastery. You will find, as your discipline deepens, that many around you will begin to misunderstand your silence. They will mistake your calm for indifference, your patience for weakness, your restraint for hesitation. Pay them no mind. They speak from the level they occupy. The noisy must justify themselves. The wise have no such need. The calm man does not explain his composure to the storm. Let your results speak. Let your success become the voice your silence prepared. The world cannot argue with fact. It cannot debate the evidence of achievement. When your dreams become real, even the doubters will fall silent. And by then you will no longer need their recognition, for mastery makes a man self-sufficient. The highest form of power is inner peace. When you can act without haste, speak without fear, and think without confusion, you become immune to manipulation. The opinions of others lose their grip. The noise of the world fades into background. You move from reaction to creation. That is the threshold of greatness, the moment when you no longer seek to control life because you have learned to control yourself. There comes a time in every person's journey toward greatness when he must understand that the battle for success is not fought in boardrooms, marketplaces, or streets. It is fought in the quiet battlefield of the mind. Every victory begins as a thought disciplined into purpose, and every failure begins as a thought left unchecked. The mind is the workshop of creation. Control it, and you control all. Within this workshop exists a sacred law, that few have mastered: the law of mental neutrality. It is the power to remain balanced when emotion seeks to seize command. It is the art of standing still in thought when storms rage in circumstance. Most men are slaves to polarity. They are either elated by praise or destroyed by criticism. They ride the pendulum between arrogance and despair, wonder and fear, joy and jealousy. Their peace depends on the approval of others, their confidence on the comfort of environment. But the master learns to remain centered. He neither rises too high when fortune smiles nor falls too low when adversity strikes. He stands fixed in principle, unmoved by the temporary fluctuations of life. To be mentally neutral is to possess absolute clarity. It is not apathy, it is precision. When the mind is neutral, it observes without distortion. It does not exaggerate success, nor does it dramatize failure. It sees things as they are, not as emotion would color them. From that clarity, correct action flows. All errors in life come from emotional exaggeration, from seeing too much good in one situation or too much evil in another. Neutrality gives balance, and balance gives truth. Think of the pilot flying through the storm. The winds howl, the rain blinds, the instruments shake, but he keeps his gaze fixed on the controls, not on the turbulence. Emotion says, panic. Discipline says, stay the course. The pilot who trusts his instruments survives. The one who trusts his feelings crashes. Your principles are your instruments. Trust them more than your moods. Every man who achieves greatness cultivates this calmness of mind. You can identify them by their stillness under pressure. When others lose composure, they remain deliberate. When others are loud, they are quiet. When others retreat, they advance but never in haste. Calmness is not weakness. It is the visible form of power under control. A boiling kettle makes noise because its energy escapes as steam. A dam holds silence because its energy is contained. One wastes force, the other stores it. If you wish to achieve power, learn containment. The man who cannot contain his emotions cannot direct his destiny. He becomes like a leaking vessel, full of potential but empty of strength. Every outburst, every complaint, every boast is a leak through which life force escapes. Close those leaks. Preserve your mental energy as a sacred currency. You spend it with every thought, every word, every reaction. Waste none of it. There is a reason the masters of all ages, philosophers, generals, inventors, saints, prized calmness above all. Calmness is clarity. Calmness is control. Calmness is courage disguised as patience. When you can remain calm in chaos, you have achieved the highest form of confidence, faith in yourself and faith in the laws that govern success. Faith is not a feeling. It is discipline sustained through uncertainty. The world mistakes faith for optimism, but faith is not the denial of difficulty, it is the decision to persist despite it. The mind ruled by emotion loses faith at the first sign of resistance. The mind ruled by discipline grows stronger through it. Resistance is not opposition, it is opportunity. It tests the strength of your conviction and proves your worthiness for victory. Understand that success is a game of endurance, not speed. The quick are often the first to burn out. The calm endure. Life rewards those who can remain steadfast while others quit. When you learn to act without haste, you move with the rhythm of universal law, deliberate, measured, inevitable. You cease to chase success. Success begins to gravitate toward you. Patience is power in slow motion. The world glorifies speed because it confuses movement with progress. But the wise know that true progress is direction, not pace. One step on purpose outweighs 100 steps in confusion. Calm patience governed by definite aim is irresistible. The law of mental neutrality demands that you free yourself from emotional slavery to external events. Whether others praise or condemn, whether fortune rises or falls, whether the crowd cheers or mocks, your mind must remain your own. You cannot afford to rent it to the opinions of others. Every time you react to their noise, you surrender a piece of your sovereignty. Withdraw your attention from the irrelevant. The undisciplined scatter it everywhere on rumors, trivialities, complaints, and vanity. The disciplined conserve it for creation, not reaction. The strength of your mind is measured by the quality of your focus. Weak minds chase distraction. Strong minds generate direction. In every moment, life offers you two choices, reaction or creation. The one who reacts lives as a slave of circumstance, the one who creates lives as a master of destiny. Reaction consumes, creation multiplies. Reaction is instinct, creation is intention. Choose intention always. When you understand this, you begin to see that every emotion has purpose when mastered and poison when ignored. Anger becomes clarity when directed. Fear becomes preparation when analyzed. Desire becomes drive when disciplined. The problem is never emotion itself. The problem is identification with it. You are not your anger, your fear, or your desire. You are the intelligence that commands them. Once you see this truth, you reclaim the throne of your own consciousness. Emotional detachment is the guard at the gate of thought. It decides what enters and what stays. It does not allow every emotion to dictate action. The mind of the average man is an open marketplace. Any thought can enter. Any emotion can set up shop. Any fear can take residence. But the mind of the disciplined is a fortress. Every thought is examined. Every emotion is interrogated. Nothing unworthy is allowed to dwell within. That vigilance is the cost of sovereignty. He who cannot control what he allows to dwell within his mind will soon find himself living out the consequences of ideas that are not his own. Every advertisement, every comment, every criticism plants a seed in the subconscious. The subconscious does not judge, it accepts. It builds in silence whatever is impressed upon it. If you allow fear, doubt, and gossip to enter, it will build failure and confusion. If you feed it purpose, faith, and clarity, it will build strength and opportunity. You are the gardener. Your thoughts are the seeds. Guard the soil of your mind. Remember, the subconscious mind is always listening. It obeys your dominant thought, not your occasional wish. You cannot plant one seed of confidence and 10 seeds of fear and expect to reap victory. What you repeat becomes what you believe, and what you believe becomes what you experience. Discipline is the act of choosing consciously what to repeat. It is mental repetition of purpose until it becomes nature. Each morning, reaffirm your command. I will act from reason, not emotion. I will choose clarity over confusion. I will trust silence over talk. I will produce before I announce. I will govern myself first, and the world will follow. Say it with authority, not as hope, but as decree. For the subconscious does not respond to hesitation, it responds to conviction. When you live this way, something remarkable happens. The chaos of life no longer penetrates you. You begin to feel an invisible barrier between your inner state and outer events. This barrier is not distance, it is dominance. You are still in the world, but the world is no longer in you. You move through noise untouched, through doubt undisturbed. You begin to taste what the sages called peace, not the peace of rest, but the peace of power. Peace is the natural result of order. When your mind obeys your will, peace follows. When your will obeys emotion, turmoil follows. Most men chase peace by trying to fix the outer world. They change jobs, partners, environments, thinking it will calm them. But the disturbance is internal. Change yourself, and every environment will serve you. Refuse to change, and every environment will disturb you. The disciplined mind carries its peace wherever it goes. It is self-contained. It needs nothing to be still. It functions as a sun that shines regardless of weather. That is the final stage of mastery, when calmness becomes your permanent state. From that state, all creation flows easily. You may wonder why few reach this level. The answer is simple. It demands consistency. The world worships intensity, quick bursts of effort, brief moments of inspiration. But mastery is born from steady repetition, from doing the right thing long enough to make it your identity. The man who meditates one day and panics the next will never know peace. The man who disciplines his mind daily, quietly, without applause, becomes unshakable. Every act of self-control accumulates invisible capital. It builds reputation with your subconscious. The more you prove to yourself that you can remain composed, the more your mind trusts your command. Eventually, it obeys without resistance. You will not need to force calm. Calm will become reflex. When others argue, you will remain silent not because you cannot respond, but because you understand that reaction gives power to the trivial. When others brag, you will smile inwardly not because you lack ambition, but because you no longer require validation. When others seek attention, you will focus on creation because you know that the world eventually bows to results. That is the meaning of stop telling people your plans. It is not merely advice for secrecy, it is the discipline of sovereignty. It means you no longer draw power from the gaze of others. It means you no longer dilute your purpose by scattering it among opinions. It means you have learned the highest art of leadership, leading yourself. And as you lead yourself with silence and focus, the universe begins to conspire on your behalf. Doors open, people appear, opportunities align. Not because magic occurs, but because clarity attracts order. The outer world mirrors the inner state. When your mind is still, your path becomes visible. This is the reward of calmness, vision. The mind in chaos cannot see. It reacts to shadows, exaggerates obstacles, and imagines enemies. But the calm mind perceives truth. It sees cause and effect clearly. It acts strategically instead of impulsively. It becomes the master chess player of life, moving with precision while others waste their energy in noise. Every transformation begins the moment you accept that thought is the original cause of all you experience. The body obeys the mind. Circumstances bend to belief. No man can rise above the quality of his thinking, for every action, every relationship, every opportunity is shaped by the invisible architect within. When your thinking is undisciplined, your results are accidental. When your thinking is precise, your results are inevitable. There is a principle I have taught to those who listen, not merely with their ears, but with their spirit. All things are created twice, first in thought, then in form. The thought is the seed, the form, the harvest. To protect the seed, you must plant it in silence. The soil does not gossip. It does not announce what it holds. It nurtures. It transforms. It protects. The same must be true of your mind. The moment you speak of what has not yet taken root, you dig into the soil and expose your dream to the cold air of doubt. You interfere with its growth. Keep your ideas in the dark long enough to give them strength. Guard them from the eyes that do not yet see, from the ears that do not yet understand. The world cannot destroy what it does not know exists. Speak only when the vision is strong enough to stand on its own legs, when it has already become real within you. Then, and only then, let it emerge into the world with the weight of certainty behind it. The mind is not a playground, it is a temple. Enter it with reverence. Keep its doors closed to idle chatter and its altar clean from emotional debris. Each morning you enter that temple, you light the fire of purpose. You decide what kind of man or woman you will be that day. You decide what thoughts you will entertain, what feelings you will permit, what energy you will radiate. This is the discipline of mastery, living each day by decision, not by default. The undisciplined live by accident. They wake up and allow the world to dictate their direction. They chase every impulse, answer every message, and call it being busy. But busyness is not purpose, it is avoidance. It is the motion of those who fear stillness, because in stillness they would have to meet themselves. Do not mistake noise for progress. True progress is quiet. It grows beneath the surface, invisible to all but the one who created it. When you stop telling people your plans, you stop seeking premature reward. You deny yourself the counterfeit satisfaction of being seen and replace it with the true satisfaction of becoming. You discover that silence has a flavor and it tastes like power. Each unspoken idea gathers density. Each private victory compounds into confidence. Soon your results speak louder than your words ever could. This is the paradox of greatness. Those who need to talk rarely accomplish. Those who accomplish rarely need to talk. The man who has found his rhythm, who is guided by principle, has no desire to explain himself. He acts from inner authority. He knows that explanation is for those who doubt, not for those who know. The world begins to revolve quietly around such men. They possess the calm gravity of those who have mastered self-command. Learn to enjoy the solitude of secrecy. Learn to cherish the hours when no one applauds, when no one notices. Those are the hours when character is carved, when endurance is built, when faith is tested. No crowd can help you there. The applause of others cannot substitute for your own conviction. The great work is done in silence, because silence is where sincerity lives. When you stop announcing your plans, you begin to listen more deeply to your intuition. You become attuned to the quiet guidance that only a still mind can hear. There is a voice within you, calm, unhurried, sure, that knows exactly what you must do. But it cannot be heard over the noise of boasting, complaining, or explaining. Silence amplifies that voice. The disciplined learn to hear it and obey. There will be days when solitude feels heavy, when silence feels like loneliness. Endure them. Those are the days when your roots grow deeper. The seed cannot demand sunlight while it is still forming. Be patient with your own becoming. The season of recognition will come, but only after the season of silence has done its work. There is no such thing as wasted restraint. Every time you hold your tongue, every time you choose composure over chaos, every time you work in secret rather than speak in haste, you are accumulating strength unseen. Power grows through conservation. When others scatter their energy through noise, you are storing yours through discipline. You must also understand that the world is filled with voices that seek to penetrate your focus, the opinions of the unqualified, the criticisms of the envious, the distractions of the trivial. Guard your attention as you would guard your fortune. Attention is the currency of achievement. Spend it only on what multiplies it. A man's greatness can be measured by what he refuses to think about. Refuse to dwell on pettiness. Refuse to react to provocation. Refuse to give mental space to those who drain rather than develop you. Every minute spent defending yourself is a minute stolen from creation. The disciplined create. The insecure defend. The disciplined act. The doubtful explain. You have nothing to prove. Proof is for those who doubt themselves. Certainty is silent. Confidence is self-contained. The world cannot argue with results that speak in the language of fact. There is a level of mastery where you cease to struggle against life because you understand that everything external mirrors something internal. The critic outside represents the doubt within. The storm outside reflects the impatience within. When you correct the inner imbalance, the outer world begins to respond. That is why calmness is not merely a virtue, it is a strategy. The calm mind corrects chaos by refusing to feed it. Do not confuse calm with passivity. Calmness is not retreat, it is readiness. It is the mind's ability to move only when movement matters. The warrior who strikes without control exhausts himself. The master who waits for the right moment conserves energy and wins with precision. Emotional neutrality gives you that precision. It removes the fog of impulse and lets you see the field of life with clarity. When you stop reacting, you start creating. When you stop explaining, you start producing. When you stop telling people your plans, you start building them. The transformation is invisible at first. It feels slow, even lonely, but in time it becomes unstoppable. Every day of silence adds another layer to your strength, another degree to your focus, another brick to your inner fortress. And then one day, your results appear undeniable, irrefutable, unarguable. The world will call you lucky, but you will know better. You will know that what they call luck is simply the visible result of invisible discipline. They will say you were destined for it, and you will smile quietly, for destiny is not fate. It is focus sustained over time. Never forget that mastery of self is mastery of fate. The man who commands his emotions writes his future in ink that does not fade. The one who speaks prematurely, reacts impulsively, or seeks validation too soon writes his story in sand. One gust of wind, one opinion, one disappointment, one failure, and it vanishes. But the man of discipline writes in stone. His decisions are carved from principle, not mood. You are that man, or you can become him. All that is required is decision, the decision to live by law, not by impulse, the decision to let silence mature your power, the decision to withdraw your need for recognition and replace it with the pursuit of mastery. For the highest reward is not applause, it is peace. The deepest satisfaction is not being known, but knowing. When you reach the point where you no longer crave acknowledgement because your work itself fulfills you, you have arrived at sovereignty. You no longer move to impress you, move to express the truth within you. The world bows to those who bow first to discipline. It yields to the calm, it serves the patient, it follows the focused. To those who stop talking and start doing, the universe opens doors unseen by the restless. The man who governs himself commands everything he touches because everything external is shaped by his internal order. So stop telling people your plans. Guard them, nurture them, build them in silence. Let your action become your declaration. Let your results be your speech. Let your calmness be your crown. And when the day comes, and it will come when your work stands complete and the world turns its eyes toward you, say nothing. Simply keep building. For the greatest secret of all is that the journey of mastery never ends. Each level of discipline reveals another. Each victory demands a deeper calm. The universe belongs to those who have learned to hold their peace. You do not need to announce your greatness. You only need to become it.